Ethan was alone on the edge of the alien forest. The air was warm and heavy. Carrying the smell of wet soil and strange flowers, he crouched beside the broken drone, his hands busy with wires and metal plates. The sun was setting behind the jagged hills, painting the sky in orange and violet. He had been sent here on a simple repair mission, no danger. No trouble, just fix the drone and leave. Or so he thought. Something moved in the tall grass to his left. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but then he saw it a shadow. Low to the ground, moving fast but silent, Ethan froze. His heart thudding in his chest. He reached for the small stun pistol on his belt. The grass rustled closer, and suddenly a small figure burst out before he could react. It slammed into him with surprising strength. Teeth sank into his hand. Sharp, quick, and painful, he cried out. Pulling back instinctively, the creature landed in front of him, standing on two legs. Not four. Ethan blinked, shocked at what he saw. It was a girl, well, almost a girl. She was no taller than 4 feet. Her body slim but strong. Her skin was light bronze. Her hair a wild mess of black with streaks of gold. Feline ears twitched on top of her head, and a long, thin tail swayed. Behind her, her eyes were huge, bright yellow with slitted pupils. She looked both wild and intelligent. And she was staring at him like he had just done something important. "You?" she said in a rough, accented voice. Her fangs showed as. She smiled, not in a friendly way. "Mine now." Ethan stepped back, gripping his bitten hand. "Hey, wait, what are you talking about?" But she followed him, her tail curling like a question mark. She sniffed the air near him, then tilted her head as if studying him. "I bite you, you mine," she said firmly, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Ethan laughed nervously. "Look, no offense, but that's not how things work where I'm from." The alien cat girl didn't look amused. Her ears flicked back, and she narrowed her eyes. "You human, yes?" "Now, you my human," she said. She stepped closer. Close enough that he could see the small scar across her left cheek. He stepped back again. "I'm just here to fix a drone." He said, "I'm not." A low growl came from the forest. The girl's ears shot up. Her body tensed. She stepped in front of him. Between him and the dark trees, out of the shadows came 3 tall figures, male by their deep voices and broad shoulders. They looked like her, but bigger, stronger, there. Fur-patterned skin gleamed in the fading light. One of them pointed at Ethan and hissed, "Nyari, give him to us." Ethan glanced at the girl, so her name was Nyari. She hissed right back at them, tail puffed up. "Mine," she said, her voice sharp like claws. The males stepped closer. Ethan realized they were looking at him like prey. What's going on? He whispered to Nyari. She didn't take her eyes off them. "You marked now," she said. "They challenge. They take, unless you fight." Ethan's stomach sank. "I'm not fighting anyone," he said. Nyari gave him a fierce grin, showing sharp teeth. "Then you die." She replied simply. The tallest male took another step forward, his claws flexed. Catching the last light of the setting sun, Ethan's hand went to his stun pistol. His pulse racing, he didn't know what strange rule he had just been caught in. But he could tell one thing for sure. Walking away was no longer an option. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat beside a small campfire. Staring at his bandaged hand, the bite still throbbed, not from pain, but from confusion. Across the fire, Nyari crouched on a rock, tail wrapped around her knees. Her golden eyes glowed. In the dark, never blinking, never looking away from him, like a wild cat guarding her prize. "Why did you bite me?" Ethan asked again. She tilted her head like she didn't understand the question. "I claim you," she said simply. "You mine now?" Ethan let out a breath. "Look, where I come from. We don't just bite someone and say they're ours. Niari narrowed her eyes, her ears twitching. "Your ways not work here," she said. "My people follow the law of the bite." "What law?" Ethan asked, his voice rising. She stood slowly, walked around the fire, and sat beside him. Her tail brushed the dirt as she spoke. "When female in heat finds male she wants, she hunts him," she said, "if she'll bite him before others catch. He belonged to her. If he accept, they bond. If not," she looked into the fire, "he still belong, but must fight for her." Ethan blinked. "You mean? You were in some kind of mating ritual?" Niari nodded once. "I chose you," she said. "I bite you, you mine." "I didn't choose anything," Ethan muttered. Niari's ears twitched again. "You didn't run," she said. "You stood. You faced me. You looked into my eyes." She leaned in closer. "That is choice in my people's eyes." Before Ethan could argue, a low howl echoed from the trees. Niari stood up fast, her claws half out. "They follow," she said. "The challengers." Ethan got to his feet, scanning the dark. "How many?" "3, Niari said. "Maybe 4 by morning." Ethan cursed under his breath. "I don't even want to be part of this. I'm not your mate." Niari turned toward him, her face suddenly softer. "I know," she whispered, "but they don't care." She explained more of her people's law. "Once bitten, the male becomes marked. Other males can challenge him within 3 nights. If the male survives all fights, the bond is complete, and no one can touch the pair. But if he loses, the female is taken, and he might die in the process." There was no way out. Not unless Niari rejected him herself, but she refused. "Why me?" asked, his voice full of exhaustion. "There are many of your kind, stronger ones, better ones." Niari looked at him like he had just asked the dumbest question. "You fixed a broken bird," she said. Ethan blinked again. "What?" "The drone," she nodded. "You healed a flying machine with your hands. You didn't kill it, you saved it. My people don't fix things, they replace them, but you made it live again." Ethan stared at her in silence. "All this because he fixed a broken drone," Niari continued, her voice low. "You are soft but strong. You don't growl or roar, but you act fast, think fast. I never see male like you." Ethan sat down again, overwhelmed. He had no way to send a message off-world, no ship nearby. The outpost was 3 days' hike through dangerous forest until help came. He was stuck here, stuck in a law he didn't believe in, and 4 alien warriors were going to try to kill him, 'cause one 4-foot alien girl bit him. Niari placed a small bone dagger beside him. "It is not fair," she said, "but it is real. You fight, or they take me." She turned away, curling her tail around her body as she lay on the ground. Ethan stared at the dagger. He didn't want to fight, but deep inside, something stirred, a strange mix of anger, survival, and something else, something that made him look at Niari differently now, not just as a strange alien girl, but someone who chose him when she had every reason not to. The first light of morning barely touched the trees when Niari shook Ethan awake. Her ears twitched, her tail stiff with warning. "They come," she said in a low voice. Now, Ethan sat up fast, grabbing the bone dagger she had given him. He still didn't know how to fight with it. He barely slept last night. Thoughts spinning in circles about Niari, about the so-called bond, and about the alien males who wanted to kill him. He stood, eyes scanning the forest. Shapes moved in the mist, large and fast. One of them stepped forward, the biggest one yet. He was nearly 6 feet tall, with striped muscles, fur-lined armor made of bark and bone. His eyes were the same golden color as Niari's, but colder. He had 3 long scars across his chest and claws sharp enough to split stone. He growled, and the sound made birds scatter from the trees. "You are the claimed human," he said. "I challenge you." Ethan swallowed hard. Niari stepped beside him, arms crossed. "He beat your cousin Tovak," she said calmly. "You think you're better?" Tovak grinned, showing pointed teeth. "I don't think he said, I know." Niari turned to Ethan. "You can't run," she said softly. "If you run, they will tear you apart." Ethan glanced at the dagger in his hand, then at the massive warrior in front of him. He didn't stand a chance in a fair fight. But he remembered something Niari had said. Her people respect strength, but even more than that, they respect survival. Ethan stepped forward. "No claws, no weapons," he said, raising his dagger and tossing it aside. Just skill. A few other aliens had gathered to watch silent. Curious, Tovak sneered but nodded. "As you wish." He lunged fast, claws out, even though he agreed to no weapons. Ethan barely dodged, rolling to the side. Tovak turned quickly, faster than Ethan expected. His claws slashed through the air, missing Ethan's chest by inches. Ethan grabbed a stick from the ground and jabbed it toward Tovak's face. The warrior batted it away, but that gave Ethan an idea. Tovak charged again, and Ethan ran, not out of fear, but toward the trees. He weaved through the trunks, leading the larger warrior into a tighter space. Tovak tried to follow, but the trees were too close together for his wide frame. Ethan ducked, climbed, and dropped down behind him. He grabbed a low-hanging vine and wrapped it around Tovak's ankle. The alien growled and tried to shake it off, but Ethan yanked it hard and kicked the back of his knee. Tovak fell forward into the mud with a loud thud. Ethan jumped on his back, grabbed another vine and looped it around his opponent's neck. Not to choke him, but to prove a point. "Yield," Ethan said, panting, "or I drag you through the mud in front of your whole clan." Tovak struggled, then stopped. His claws sank into the ground, his chest rising and falling. He spat in two. The mud, "I yield," gasps echoed through the trees. The small crowd of watchers stood in silence, eyes wide. Ethan stepped back, heart pounding, hands shaking. Niari stepped beside him and raised his arm high. "This human is mine," she shouted. "He has fought and won again." The watching aliens nodded, some in approval, others in confusion. A human winning twice, with no claws, no strength, only brain and speed. It was strange to them, but not dishonorable. Tovak stood slowly, eyes burning. "You fight like prey," he growled. Ethan smiled weakly. "Still beat you, though." Niari laughed, tail curling. She was proud, more than proud. She looked at Ethan like he was something new, something rare. He didn't just survive, he changed the rules. But Ethan knew something deeper now. This wasn't over. Word of his win would spread. More challengers would come, stronger ones, smarter ones. He didn't know if he could keep winning. But as Niari touched his arm gently and whispered, "Well done, mate," he felt something shift inside him. He didn't just want to survive anymore. He wanted to understand her world, and, maybe even, earn his place in it. The forest was silent, except for the soft crunch of leaves under Ethan's boots. Beside him, Niari moved like a shadow, silent, smooth, always alert, her ears turned at every sound. Her eyes scanned the trees. She didn't speak much that morning. But Ethan could feel the change after the challenge with Tovak. She looked at him differently, not just like a prize she had claimed, but like a partner. They were on a hunt, now not for food, but for something sacred, a blood-feather beast. Niari had said, "To prove our bond, we must hunt it together." Ethan didn't like the sound of that. From what she described, the blood-feather beast was fast, aggressive, and smart. It was covered in red feathers and claws as long as a human's forearm. Even local warriors feared it, but Niari said if they brought back its heart, no one could challenge their bond again. Ethan gripped the metal staff he'd built from broken drone parts. It had a shock core inside, good for stunning. Maybe not killing. Still, it gave him some confidence. He wasn't strong like the aliens. But he had tools. He had brains. Stay low. Nyari whispered, crouching behind a wide root. She motioned to a clearing ahead. Ethan followed her gaze. There it was. The blood feather beast stood in the middle of the clearing, drinking from a small pool. It looked like a cross between a bird and a reptile. Long tail, curved neck, sharp beak. Its body shimmered with red and orange feathers, glowing faintly in the dim light. Its eyes were pure black, and it moved with jerks and snaps. Always alert, Ethan whispered. How do we do this? Nyari pointed to the left. I distract. You strike from behind. Ethan blinked. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Nyari grinned. I am faster, but you are clever. Use your human tricks. Before Ethan could reply, she was already gone, moving through the trees like wind. Nyari leaped into the clearing, growling loud. The beast spun, screeched, and lunged. She dodged left, then right. Flipping over a rock, she clawed at its side. Drawing shallow blood, Ethan moved fast around the edge of the trees. He found a large branch, climbed halfway up, and balanced his shock staff. The beast chased Nyari, but then suddenly stopped, its black eyes turning toward Ethan. It had sensed him. It let out a shriek and charged. Ethan didn't run. He waited until the last second, then jumped down and slammed the staff into the beast's shoulder. A jolt of blue energy sparked. The creature shrieked and crashed into a tree, dazed but not dead. Nyari didn't wait. She pounced, biting deep into its neck. The beast rolled. Throwing her off, Ethan grabbed the staff again and hit its leg. It buckled, howling in pain. Nyari jumped again. This time, with a knife in hand, she drove it into the beast's heart. The fight ended with a final cry, then silence. Both of them stood still, panting. Blood on Nyari's arms, bruises on Ethan's side. But they were alive. She looked at him, and for the first time, bowed her head. You are my equal now, she said softly. Not just my chosen. Ethan didn't know what to say. Part of him still felt like an outsider. But standing there, beside her, something inside him felt different. He had hunted with her, risked his life, and she had trusted him. They carved out the beast's heart together, wrapping it in thick leaves as they walked back toward the village. The forest seemed quieter. Even the birds watched them pass. You could have let me face it alone, Nyari said suddenly. But you stayed. Ethan nodded. I didn't want you to die. She looked at him again. Then maybe the bond is real. The village sat in a circle of tall trees, with sharp wooden towers guarding the edges. Thatched roofs curved like animal shells. Smoke rising from cooking fires in the early light. Ethan followed Nyari through the main path, carrying the blood feather beast's heart wrapped in thick leaves. Villagers stopped to stare, eyes wide, tails flicking, whispers spreading like fire. He brought it down with her. One elder said, a human male. Another muttered, I heard he beat Tovak too. Someone whispered from a rooftop, Ethan tried not to look nervous, but the stares made his skin crawl. He wasn't used to being the center of attention, especially not in a village where most of them probably wanted him gone. Nyari walked with her head high, her tail curved upward in pride. She wore a necklace of claws, now a sign of victory, and at her side she held Ethan's hand openly, not hiding it. That alone caused gasps. They stopped before a large stone circle where the clan's elders sat. 3 old warriors each, marked with ritual scars, bone jewelry, and long gray fur braided into cords. The tallest, a female with a missing I raised her hand. You bring the heart of the beast, she said. Do you bring the truth with it? Nyari stepped forward. This is my mate, she said clearly. I claimed him. He stood by me. He fought beside me. He bled for me. He did not run. One of the elders looked at Ethan. "You speak our tongue." Ethan nodded. "Enough." "To understand," the elder grunted, "you were bitten and you stayed. You were challenged and you won. You hunted and you returned with the heart. But do you accept the bond?" Ethan hesitated. So many eyes were watching. Neri's hand tensed slightly in his. He looked at her, at the way she waited, not forcing him, not begging, just hoping. "I didn't understand your laws at first," he said. "I still don't. Fully. But I know this: she chose me, and I didn't leave. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm still here." The elder nodded once. "Then the bond is recognized," she said. She motioned to a group of young ones nearby. "Prepare the fire for the mating feast." A cheer broke through the crowd. Music began, drums and strange hollow flutes. Niari smiled wide and pulled Ethan into the dancing circle, but not everyone celebrated from the edge of the gathering. Angry eyes watched. Tovak stood there, bruised but proud. Beside him stood a younger male with sharp black fur and glowing red eyes. He leaned in and whispered, "Let the human dance now. He won't dance for long." As the feast began, Niari placed painted markings on Ethan's face. Each mark means something. She said softly, "This one is for bravery. This one is for protection. And this," she touched his chin gently, "this is for choosing me. When you didn't have to." Ethan smiled, a little embarrassed. "You're not what I expected when I landed here." Niari grinned, her fangs showing slightly. "And you are exactly what I never knew I needed." But the peace was only on the surface. As the fire burned higher and the clan danced louder, the younger male slipped away into the dark. He had a different kind of fire in his heart, one made of jealousy. He would not challenge in the open like Tovak. He would not follow the old ways. He had a new plan, and before the night was over, Ethan would be in danger again. But for now, Ethan stood beside Niari, among a people that once saw him as nothing. Now they celebrated his strength, his choice, and the strange bond that grew from one small bite. And in that moment, under the alien stars, Ethan didn't feel like a stranger anymore. The fire burned low, casting long shadows across the village. Most of the clan had gone to sleep, full from the feast. Ethan lay beside Niari in a small shelter made of woven leaves and fur. She curled close, her tail resting on his leg. The stars blinked above them, strange and unfamiliar. But Ethan finally felt like he belonged, until he heard something, a soft sound like breath through grass. Neri's ears twitched. She sat up fast, eyes narrow. "Someone outside," she whispered. "Stay here." Ethan grabbed his shock staff and followed her anyway. The path outside was lit by a few glowing stones. They moved between shadows, silent and alert. Then they saw him, the younger male with black fur and red eyes, the one who had watched the feast without clapping, the one who didn't challenge during the day. He stood near the sacred statue at the village edge, alone, or so it seemed. Niari stepped forward. "You break the law." She growled. "You hide in night like a coward." The male smiled slowly. "I don't care about your law," he said. "This human doesn't belong here. I'll remove him and take your place." Ethan tightened his grip on the staff. Before he could speak, two more shadows moved from behind the trees. Ambush. They weren't challengers. They were traitors, trying to take what they couldn't earn. They rushed in fast, claws gleaming in the moonlight. Ethan jumped back, blocking one strike with his staff. The shock snapped, and one attacker fell, twitching. Niari leaped like fire, slamming into the second attacker. They rolled through the dirt, hissing and biting. But the red-eyed male came for Ethan. No challenge, no honor, just hatred. He struck low, catching Ethan's ribs. Pain flared, but Ethan didn't fall. He twisted, using the attacker's momentum to slam him into the ground. The male growled and kicked, throwing Ethan off balance. Nyari screamed his name. She broke free from her fight and rushed toward him, but the red-eyed male was faster. He raised a clawed hand to strike. Ethan raised his staff, but it was broken. Sparks flickered, but died. Then Naya threw herself between them. The claws struck her shoulder. She cried out and fell. Rage hit Ethan like fire. He tackled the male. Grabbing a sharp stone from the ground, they struggled in the dirt Ethan brought. The stone down on the male's hand, again and again, until the claws opened and blood spilled. Stop. A deep voice roared. The elders arrived, followed by villagers holding torches and spears. They saw everything. The broken law, the wounded female, the dishonor of night attack. The red-eyed male hissed and tried to run, but the villagers surrounded him. He was dragged away, tail between his legs. Ethan knelt beside Niar. Blood ran down her arm. Her breath was fast, but steady. "You should have stayed inside," she whispered, half smiling. "I never listen," Ethan said, holding her hand. The eldest warrior stepped forward. She looked at Ethan, then at Niar. "This is no longer a simple bond," she said. "This is a bond of blood." She raised her hand to the crowd. "Let all hear he has passed his final trial. No more challenges, no more doubts. This human is one of us." Cheers broke out, but Ethan wasn't listening. He was focused on Nyari, cleaning her wound, wrapping it tight. She looked at him, her eyes soft now, tired, but full of pride. "You stayed," she whispered. "You always stay." Ethan nodded. "I guess that's what mates do." That night, under the alien moon, Ethan didn't just feel like part of her world. He felt like he had fought for it, bled for it, and maybe, deep down, he had finally found where he belonged. 3 days had passed since the night of the ambush. The traitors had been exiled. The clan returned to peace, but Ethan still sat quietly at the edge of the village, staring at the sky. The stars above reminded him of Earth Hove home, of the life he had before everything changed. Nyari's wound had healed quickly. Thanks to herbal treatments and her body's natural strength, she walked again, though slower. Her arms still wrapped in fresh green bandages. She didn't complain, not even once, but Ethan noticed something different in her eyes. She had stopped calling him mate every time they spoke. She smiled less, laughed quieter, like she was holding something back. That morning, she brought him fruit and dried meat, placed it gently beside him, and sat down. The silence between them was warm but heavy. "I hear a supply ship is near," she said, looking at the trees. "Maybe 2 days away," Ethan nodded. "They'll come looking for me. My mission team probably thinks I'm lost." "You can go home," Nyari said softly. "You have no challenge left here. No bond if you don't want it." He looked at her. Her voice was strong, but her tail told the truth. It was low, still nearly tucked. She was bracing for goodbye, but she wouldn't beg him to stay. Ethan stood slowly, walked toward the sacred rock where his journey had truly begun. The place where Nyari first bit him. The place where this strange story started. He touched the stone with one hand, closed his eyes. He thought about the ship, the earth food, the safety. Then he thought about Nyari's eyes, the way she had shielded him during battle. The way she never gave up, even when bleeding, even when doubted by her own people. He turned around, and she was still there, waiting like always. "I don't know if I'm ready for this life," he said quietly. "I don't know your language fully, your customs, your future." Nyari nodded. "I understand," she said. "You are free, Ethan. You can leave." He walked up to her and took her hand. "No," he said. "I want to stay." Nyari's ears twitched. She looked at him, confused. "You want to stay? With me?" Ethan smiled. "I fought for you. I bled for you. But more than that, I care about you." She blinked fast, as if trying to believe it. "I thought you were leaving. I was thinking like a visitor," he said. "But now I think like someone who belongs." She stepped closer, eyes locked on his. "What will your people say?" "I don't care," Ethan whispered. "They didn't fight beside you. They didn't risk their life in this forest. They didn't see you smile under starlight." Nieri's tail curled up with happiness. She reached up and touched his face, gently, slowly, then leaned her forehead against his. "Our bond is real," she said. "Now it is forever." That evening, the clan gathered again. This time, not for a challenge, not for a fight, but for a union. Ethan stood beside Nieri as the eldest elder tied their wrists with a red vine. She chanted words of blessing in their native tongue. Ethan didn't understand every word, but he understood the meaning. Together, they stepped forward. Together, they were accepted, not as outsider and native, but as one. As night fell, Ethan looked up at the sky once more. He knew the stars hadn't changed, but he had. He wasn't just a human on a strange planet anymore. He was her mate, her partner, her choice. And in choosing to stay, he had become something stronger than he ever was before.